Hey guys, Henry here, back at you again with another video. And as of a few hours ago, they just announced a new patch that's coming out this week. And I wanted to talk about some of the new changes that they announced, so let's just go right into it. So starting from the very top here, Path of Exile 2 has been live for just over a week. We've addressed some of the feedback already and are working on more fixes for key pain points. I like that, pain points. In an upcoming patch. The full patch notes are coming soon, but we'll check on some of the more significant changes below. So first up, gameplay features. Like we mentioned last week, we'll be adding the capacity to fast travel between checkpoints. This is huge. This will address a lot of the problems that people have been having when it comes to like having really large maps, so I'm glad to see that they've actually added this. As well as adding many more checkpoints to areas. Great, that's even better. Generally, at all entrances and exits to areas, meaning if you find these first, you'll be able to instantly travel between them to continue exploring. Beautiful. W. GGG's got it. Already starting off really good. We'll also be making passive point respecking cheaper. Beautiful. Nice. At higher levels. It had a relatively aggressive curve, getting more expensive with each character level. We have flattened that curve so that it doesn't exponentially grow as much. Nice, okay. This should generally result in approximately 40-50% less gold cost for respecking between the start and middle of the endgame progression. This is big. Big juicy change, guys. This is good. It makes respecking later in the game much more easier. Next, Trial of the Sekimus, or as I call it, Trial of the Suckmus. Suck my dick. Players were finding Trial of the Suckmus particularly frustrating in close range, so we've reworked how honor damage scales when in close range, as well as fixing an important bug that was causing players to take far too much honor damage from damage over time. Nice, okay, that's good. Honor damage now scales down based on distance between enemies, or distance to enemies, sorry. When in close range, you'll take 35% less honor damage, tapering off as you are further away from monsters. Okay, so it's going to be a bit easier for when you're doing your first trial. It'll be a bit easier because you're taking less damage overall. Fixed a bug where damage over time was dealing thrice as much damage to honor as intended, and fixed a bug where honor resistance was only applying to 2/3 of that damage. This was confusing for us too. Yeah, that sounded pretty confusing to read out loud. Skitter golems no longer use basic attacks and now instead now they just explode. Okay, so they have one less attack. They just explode on you. Okay, that's fine. They'll just rush you down. Serpent Clan's burrow and ambush attack has been improved visual telegraphing and cannot be used from farther. I hate these bitches. These serpent bitches. These guys will dive on you from like half screen away where they dig underground and they jump and they spin. They do that Tatsu Senpukyak shit from Street Fighter. Now they can't do it from as far away as before, so that's good. Nice little nerf there, which is a buff for us. Volcanoes created by Rattle Cage's Fissure Slam now only last half the duration. Okay, so now you won't have like a bunch of volcanoes lasting like the whole fight when you're fighting Rattle Cage. They'll only be there like half the time. Next up, we have endgame and monster balance. Generally, the balance in endgame maps was more punishing than intended, so we've toned down the damage in a number of ways and disabled a certain on-death effect where the telegraphing was not as clear as it should have been. Maps no longer have additional elemental resistance penalties inherently applied at Tier 6 and Tier 11 or higher maps. It is now consistent across all of endgame. Okay, cool. Cool. Okay, so now your resistance should be a little bit more impactful later into the higher tiers of mapping, which is good. Chaos damage is now scales less aggressively over the endgame. Nice, that's always nice. Critical strikes from monsters now deal 40% less bonus. That's a big one. That's a big nerf for the enemy. Buff for us. Lowered the baseline monster density of breach encounters. So okay, so they nerfed breach, primarily by reducing the frequency of the elite monsters appearing. Okay. Disabled the volatile crystals modifier. We'll revisit this in the future, pending telegraphing movements. I don't think I've seen this before, because this is endgame and I haven't reached mapping yet, but I've seen it. Like, I've watched people do mapping, but I've never heard of this particular mod before. So, I'll look it up after, but I'm guessing it was a big problem. Purple explosives created by volatile plants modifier on rare monsters now deal significantly less damage. Okay, so it sounds like Chaos overall got a heavy nerf. The Siphon's Flash Charges modifier on monsters now drains 10 times less. Oh, it's funny. I just came across this one for the first time last night in Act 3, and I see what they're talking about. Dude, it's basically like a green AoE around a rare mob, and the minute you're in that green AoE, you lose like almost all of your flash charges immediately. Like you have no health and mana. It's crazy. It's way too strong. So they nerfed it by 10 times the amount, which is much nicer. So thank you for fixing that, guys. These changes should generally result in endgame that is much more survivable than before, and we will continue to address the problematic cases as they arise. Okay, so they're paying attention. That's how you know they're listening. Character and item balance. We've made charm modifiers on belts substantially more common and now appear at much lower levels. The of symbolism modifier now appears from level 23 onwards, and the of inscription modifier now appears on level 64 onwards. I haven't seen of inscription, and I don't know what of symbolism means. I don't have the names memorized as far as what their effect is, but I'm sure it's good. Electrocute is now 25% harder to build up, but the damage penalty has been removed from the support gem. Oh, okay, cool. That's a buff. This is a nerf. This is a buff. Okay, cool. I like it. That seems fair. Added a new lightning damage and electrocute cluster to the passive tree in between the ranger and monk sections. Oh, that's good if you're going lightning. Oh, that's good for me because I'm making a lightning arrow build on my ranger. Nice. Okay, I'm liking it so far. It is now more difficult to chain freeze enemies by reducing the amount of freeze buildup applied after a freeze has been applied. Oh, I see what they're saying. So if you have just recently freezed an enemy, it's much harder to freeze them a second time and a third time and a fourth time. There's a word for this in MMOs, and I forgot what it's called. Next is the Hunter's Talisman Notable now grants +1 to Charm slot. Oh, okay. The small passive skills leading up to it now grant the stat it formerly gave. The charm, I don't know what it formerly gave. I'm not sure what it gave before. I haven't checked that passive part yet. The charm helplet text has been updated to indicate that you cannot have more than 3 charm slots unlocked so that we can add more sources of it in the future. Okay. That's good. I have yet to find a belt that gives me +1 to charm slot. I've still been running 1 charm the entire game. I'm sure it'll appear in cruel mode though. Oh, I just realized it's called diminishing returns. That's what it's called. Okay. Yes, it's basically a diminishing return for freeze buildup. That's nice. Okay, seems fair. Skill and support gem balance. Since launch, we've unfortunately had to nerf a few skills that were far too overpowered. Okay, yeah, we've been talking about this. So I see a lot of the content creators been talking about that shit. You know, like cast on freeze or the SRS or that one move where you charge your hammer and you like one shot a boss. I forgot what it was called, like charged hammer or something. All that shit got nerfed. How do we define overpowered ? Basically, it's a situation in which a certain skill is so powerful that players feel like no other method of playing is viable. Yeah, true. It's basically meta, and there's no reason to do anything else. Unless you want to intentionally make it harder for yourself. Generally speaking, we are trying to do this in a way that does not make a build bad, but we can make mistakes. Ideally, any truly meta shifting changes will only happen at the same time as a content patch with a new league to play in. Okay. Yeah. It's usually at the start of a new league where they find some type of meta, and it gets nerfed or whatever. But that doesn't mean we haven't been looking at underpower skills and support gems. We've got a number of changes planned, which should improve some of these skills. The fullest of changes will be in the patch notes, but here's a sample of what you can expect. Oh, here we go. Okay, improvements to Rolling Slam and all shield skills in the mace section. Ooh, this is good. Rolling Slam, I felt, to me personally, my first character was a Slam Warrior, and I just thought Rolling Slam was so underwhelming, especially later in the game. Improvements to various bow skills, especially the skills used to generate... Ooh, this is a good one. Because I want to make a Frenzy Charge build, but right now, Lightning Arrow is way too good. Improvements to bone spells and chaos over time. Oh, that means Essence Drain Contagion is going to be really even more stronger, I think. And bone skills seem to be underutilized a lot across a lot of the people playing Witch. So I'm excited to see how this gets changed. Improvements to various crossbow skills, especially those at higher tiers. Okay, nice. I don't have a mercenary yet, but I'm sure that there are some people complaining about the higher level skills. Improvements to some of the underachieving quarterstaff abilities. Oh, so Monk's getting a buff too. Cool. Alongside of these skilled improvements, we've also done a passover on the support gems. We've added 2 new support gems and removed or lessened the penalties on many others Notably fire, lightning, and cold exposure. Nice. Added the tremor support gem, which can be used to give up to multiple aftershocks to skills with a damage penalty. Oh, so you can stun even more now. People are going to be stunning even more with this. Added the bidding support gem, which can be used to give more damage to the command skills of supported minions. Cool. The fire exposure, lightning exposure, and cold exposure support gems no longer penalize damage of the support skills. They now have a mana cost multiplier. Oh, that's really cool. So if you build high mana, you're doing a shit ton of damage. Okay, there are also some notable nerfs to a few remaining overachieving skills. Skeletal Arsonist now costs... Spirit costs now match the other two Skeletal Mages. This should result in a slight decrease in the number of Arsonists. Okay. A nerf to the damage over time component on very high skills of Tornado and Vine Arrow. These were never intended... Oh yeah, like that. I forgot what that guy's name was, but he made a Vine Arrow build where he just threw down a Vine Arrow and it killed the boss in like 2 seconds. It was crazy. He made it so overpowered looking. These are never intended to be dealing damage themselves, but more so act as a way for other skills to propagate damage. Magnetic Salvo can now only use your stuck lightning arrows as opposed to those created by your party members. Oh, so only yours gets the effect, not everybody else's. Oh, okay. As we wind down for a holiday season, we want to thank you all for most of the launch so far. We couldn't have done without you, all of your support. A lot of our team will begin to take some much-needed rest over the next few weeks, but we look forward to getting back in the New Year's refresh and ready for an exciting year of 2025. Happy holidays, Exiles. Man, I love these people. These guys are so fucking goated, dude. Well, guys, that's the patch. It's a great patch overall. I have no complaints at all. They're in the right direction. They know exactly what they're talking about. They are paying attention. There's no bullshit. They get right to it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you guys agree with any of these changes? Is there anything that you don't like? Is there anything that you feel that should be changed that was not included in this section? Let me know. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one, next video, next stream. Later.